The new 15-year clock for 529 plans for Roth IRA transfers, does it reset? Does that change when you change the beneficiary? I've got some planning ideas, that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Are you aware of the new rule where you can transfer excess $529 into a Roth IRA? It's huge. This is the biggest rule change, in my opinion, within the Secure Act 2.0. Secure Act 1.0 had a lot of biggies. Got rid of the stretch IRA, changed the RMD age, finally off of 70 and a half to 72. But there were a lot more tax law changes in the Secure Act 2.0, but not a lot of them were enormous, just a lot. They were just many, just a lot of tax changes. To me, the biggest one is that they've now allowed you to transfer dollars from a 529 plan to a Roth IRA. Not available just yet. 529 companies, record keepers, they're trying to figure out how in the world to make this work. Lots of nuances and rules and red tape around this, but once it's available, pretty cool additional planning option. I hate the complexity from all these rule changes, but I love more choice. Financial planning is all about making sure that you have as many good choices available at your disposal as possible. And then when you need to make a decision, picking a great decision, picking a great choice of a variety of good options. Do you need to transfer money from a 529 plan to a Roth? Are you required to? No. No, if it doesn't make sense in your situation, don't worry about it. But now you have that option. There's a lot of rules, like I already mentioned, a lot of red tape around this. Well, one of them is that the 529 plan needs to have been open for 15 years. If it hasn't been open for 15 years, then you can't transfer any of the money from it to a 529, to a Roth IRA. And so there's lots of other rules as well. I've done plenty of videos on it. Work with your certified financial planner so you're made aware, so you know of all of the nuances, and then you can plan appropriately, like a contribution that's made within 5 years is not eligible to be transferred to the Roth IRA, those sorts of things. The growth even on that contribution made within 5 years, that growth isn't eligible either. Record keepers with 529 plans, they're having just a heyday trying to figure out how in the world to account for that. So, but this 15-year clock, one of the questions that wasn't clear in the original Secure Act 2.0 is, well, with a 529 plan, I can change my beneficiary, the student, at any time. And when I do that, will that start a new 15-year clock? And I heard it from someone who heard it from someone who heard it on the inside that wasn't Congress's intention. So hopefully you will be able to change the beneficiary, the student, and not have a new 15-year clock started. I heard from others this week that that's not the case. That the IRS has every intention when they come out with these rules that if you change the beneficiary, a new 15-year clock will start. So we don't know, guys. And does the IRS have a reputation? Yeah, their reputation would likely be to err on more restrictive as opposed to more flexible policy. I'm just saying. Yes, are there rules out there that give you a lot of flexibility, backdoor Roth? Yeah, absolutely. But if given a choice, I would assume the IRS is going to err on more restrictive versus more flexible. Even if Congress's intention was more flexible, they didn't write the law that way, as it seems. They left this one up to the discretion or interpretation of the IRS. My hunch is if you change the beneficiary, it's going to start a new 15-year clock. So here's how this would play out in real life. When you open a 529 plan, you list an owner. So who's in charge of the account? Who makes the investment decisions? Who gets the statements? Who's responsible for managing contributions, distributions, all that sort of stuff? That's the owner. Then there's a successor owner. In all other accounts, that person's called a beneficiary. But for a 529 plan, it's a successor owner. Who's in charge if the owner passes away? Not if the owner is on vacation or if the owner is not reached. No, they've got to pass away, and then that successor owner would be in charge. And then the third party is the beneficiary, and that's who's the account set up to benefit for. So that's the student. That's the student. And the owner can change the student, periodically. And this typically was the case. For me, we've got 3 kids. They have the age gap is not as expansive as some, but it's pretty stretched out there. One of my colleagues and co-hosts of the Wise Money Talk Show, Josh Gregory, has got 3 kids, 1 year apart each, which we love to tease them about. Mine aren't that bundled close together. And so for us, we just had one 529 plan in the oldest name because I don't think any of the kids are all going to be in college at the same time. Maybe between the oldest and the second oldest, they might have a year overlap. We'll see. But we just put all 529 contributions into one 529. And the thought was, well, we'll use it for the oldest if we need to. And then when she's done with it, we'll change the beneficiary to the middle child. When he's done with it, we'll change the beneficiary to the youngest. And that's it, right? Well, now this 15-year rule completely changes that. And I'd shared before that I made a change because of this 15-year rule, because of this new 529 to Roth IRA rule that's going to be available. Even though we don't have all the answers yet, I made a change and I opened up a 529 plan for the middle child and the youngest child as well to start that 15-year clock. All right, so let me continue the example. This is how it'd be played out. So you're the owner, your spouse is the successor owner, and the oldest child is the beneficiary. If you do that and you have that account open for 15 years, after they're done with college and they're not going to grad school and whatever, and you still have money left over in this account, if that account's been around for 15 years, and let's assume you haven't made any contributions within the last 5, the new rule says you'd be able to transfer some of that 529 plan each year to that beneficiary's Roth IRA, but up to the annual contribution limit, so $6,500 today per year, but with a maximum lifetime transfer of $35,000. Okay, so that's how that would work. If, however, you did what I was doing, and after that child, your oldest child, is out of college, and if you change the beneficiary then to your next child or to a grandchild, we don't know yet, but my expectation is that the IRS would say, hey, you've had this 529 plan for 15 years, that's fine, but you just changed it to a new beneficiary. Now you've got to wait another 15 years before you'd be eligible to transfer any of this 529 money to a Roth IRA. My guess is that's how they're going to interpret it. So what are the takeaways? What are the implications, even though we still don't know? Number one, your takeaway should be, if you've got multiple kids or multiple grandkids that you're planning to help them with college, open up a 529 plan for each of them. In the past, what was the reason to just have one? Simplicity. It's pretty easy to just have one account. Typically, each 529 plan will have a small, tiny annual record-keeping fee of like $10 or something small like that. Well, just having one account means there's only one of those expenses, but that was a pretty small thing. To me, it was just about simplicity. So anytime we wanted to make 529 contributions, it all went into one bucket, and then we would just sort of split it up in the future. Not anymore, guys. This rule change, even though we don't know the answer yet, if you've got multiple kids or multiple grandkids that you're wanting to help, add a 529 plan for each of those kids. The second takeaway, if you are planning on, well, yeah, we're probably overfunding the 529 plan. This is great news that we'll be able to contribute to the Roth or transfer the money to the Roth. So this is a great out, and we're going to plan to do this. Fantastic, but you've got to know that your contributions or that transfer will be treated like a contribution, meaning you won't be able to transfer more than the annual contribution limit each year, and that your limit is $35,000 total. So if you've got $150,000 in a 529 plan for a child, which is way more than what they're going to need, and you think you can transfer $100,000 of that or whatever to a Roth IRA, no, you've got to be aware of that $35,000 limit. So that's the second thing. I'd be aware of that rule and the other rules. And then the last takeaway is also recognize that for that child who's just graduated college, they're starting their career, building the right financial habits from the very beginning is so crucial for their financial success. And if you've got excess $529 and you intend to transfer them to fund that child's Roth IRA, don't inadvertently send the signal that, you know what, child, you don't need to save for retirement. I've got you. You figure that out later once I've done, once I've made 7 years of contributions to your Roth IRA for you, something like that. No. No, still make sure that you're instilling and you're encouraging them to build the right financial habits as soon as they get out of college, as soon as they start their financial life, even if you plan on contributing or transferring dollars from their 529 plan to their Roth IRA. How can you do that? Make sure that they're contributing 15% towards their employer retirement plan, or see about having them make their own Roth contributions and you match their Roth contributions from the 529 plan, meaning if they contribute $3,000 to their Roth IRA, then you'll transfer $3,000 from their 529 into their Roth IRA, something like that. Find a way to still have them build the right financial habits. All of this, though, is new planning options, tax planning and financial planning. So make sure that you're working with your CFP, who's helping you with all 6 areas of your financial life. One of those is tax planning and college planning as well, by the way. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.